This year has definitely been one of my most successful years as a freelance filmmaker to date, despite having its ups and downs. In this video, we're going to take a look back over the year, some of my favorite projects, how my work-life balance has changed, and how all of that has affected my overall turnover for the year. We'll dive into the numbers later on in the video, but for now, here's a quick 60-second recap of the work that I've done over the year. I always find showreels a bit of a difficult one because summing up your entire career in a matter of 60 seconds is near enough impossible. You will have noticed a lot of animation work in there. My plan is to work more of that kind of stuff into the channel in the new year. So what's changed? The biggest difference that I found this year has been my shift in perception of success. For me, money does not directly correlate with how successful that I feel I've been. It's more down to the individual. Like for most people, I went freelance for a better work-life balance. So I tend to use this as my own personal gauge for success. As soon as I started to realize clients were starting to run my life, I kind of knew something had to change. So despite saying it for years, I've actually started being more selective about the kind of work that I take on, and at the same time stopped promising the world to my existing clients at the expense of my own health. Not only has this made the workload more manageable, but I've actually been able to live more of the lifestyle that I've wanted to live for a long time, and had the headspace to work on my business rather than in the business 100% of the time, which in all honesty I've neglected for a long time. My project of the year has to go to the mountain bike film we made in the summer called Single Track Solace. This project had no client, no budget, and no fancy camera movement. It's just a combination of good people with good intentions, making something that they genuinely care about. And because of that, we were able to get really creative with the basics and take the time to get it right. It's definitely one of the projects that I'm most proud of. The second is an animation that I made for a relatively young branding agency in Cardiff called Marsden Me. They came to me to make an animation as part of a larger branding project. After agreeing on a super simple isometric style, I storyboarded and animated the whole thing. And it just goes to show what happens when you work with a team of like-minded people who really value your input. A notable mention has to go to the shoot we did for tech YouTuber George Powell. We spent the whole day shooting in different locations around South Wales for his long-term Tesla review. I saw it as a really good opportunity to fill a gap in my portfolio and try my hand to something I've not really done before. And we ended up getting some really nice footage that can happily slide into the showreel. And last but not least, my most recent Iceland film I released on my channel. When you're in a place like this, it pretty much shoots itself. It's the type of work that I want to be attracting more of, so in my eyes, the cost of the trip was more than worth the outcome at the end of it. So how does that translate financially? Like I said earlier in the video, I have really made an effort to be more selective about the work that I actually take on and made more of a conscious effort to make more passion projects that move me in the right direction. So let's have a look at how all that breaks down. So this is how my turnover looked proportionally across the year. You can see in April, I made nothing, which was when I spent a whole month traveling around Thailand, which was not only one of the highlights of the year, but one of the highlights of my life. They come at a cost, but for me, that cost is worth it because it's the reason why I work for myself in the first place. You can then see a sort of irregularity in the rest of the year, which was a product of larger projects taking longer to make, mixed in with, making more time to make passion projects and YouTube videos like this. It's way more aligned with my own personal goals and things that I want to achieve long term. When you then sit that on a graph, you can really start to see the difference between the months. And then when you sit the numbers next to the year before, you can really start to see how these changes have made a profound impact on the turnover overall, almost halving it actually. But I have to say, the amount that I was working the year before was unhealthy. I was doing projects that I didn't want to do in unrealistic timeframes and creating work that I wasn't really proud of. So then you start to ask yourself, is it worth it? So just a few of my takeaways from this year. The first one is to find your people. Working with like-minded people who share the same goals and aspirations as you will pay itself off. Not only will it make the whole process so much more enjoyable, but you will make better work as a result of it. I can't really think of a downside to starting a YouTube channel, even if you're not in the same field as me. It takes a bit of time to get off the ground initially, but there are so many positives to having a YouTube channel that I didn't even realize before starting. Take time for yourself, whether that's time off completely or taking the time to think about your work more deeply. Freeing up some headspace is something that I often overlook, but this year has been something that I've really tried to get better at, and it's really paid off. That burning passion project that you've shelved for years, make the time to do it. You'll not only make some of your best work, but you'll know you'll be moving in the right direction. And the more of that kind of work that you put out there into the world, the higher the chances that you'll attract more of that kind of work later down the line. It's not all about the money. If you're fortunate enough to have enough work to cover all your bills, then anything over and above that is a bonus in my eyes. So losing some of that income for the sake of your mental health and getting closer to a lifestyle that you want to live is more than worth it to me. Going slower in the right direction is way more important than going faster in the wrong direction. That's it for this one. Please consider subscribing if you found it useful. I've got a lot planned for next year, so I will see you guys in the next one.